Welcome everyone to the One Stop Business Workshop. I'm Robin Mirsky. I'm the Executive Director of the Rogers Group of Funds, and I'm your moderator for today. We wish to acknowledge those Indigenous nations on whose land we live and work. We are gathering virtually with people from across the country. Since the land acknowledgements are specific to each region, we urge each of you to visit the Native Land digital website to identify the First Nations territories on which you are located. So today you'll be hearing from Heidi Tao Yang, who is Acting Industry Program Director for Hot Docs, and Rod Butler, who is Director of Programs and Policies at CMF. They'll talk about the various programs offered by Hot Docs and the CMF. So it's a 30-minute session, and we're strictly trying to stay on that time. There'll be about 20 minutes of content and 10 minutes for questions. I'll ask you to provide questions to an email address, and any questions you have during the session, I hope I will get to and be able to answer. I think that's it. So Heidi, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Thank you, Robin. Thanks, everybody. Let me tell you a little bit about our funds, but before we get there, I just want to clarify that there's so many different ways that you can fund your documentary. There's so many different types of funds and grants and licenses and equity, all sorts of stuff that is really difficult to get into the nitty-gritty. But I really want to tell you about one of the funds that we have at Hot Docs, and we have a portfolio of a multi-million-dollar portfolio, funds that are dedicated to certain regions or certain topics. But one that is, I think, really potentially relevant to our audience today of emerging filmmakers is called our CrossCurrents Documentary Fund, specifically the one for Canadians. So this fund, we're focusing on the priority groups of if you're a Francophone, deaf, or have a disability, you're racialized or a person of color, Indigenous. If you self-identify with any of these priority groups, you should think about applying for the CrossCurrents Documentary Fund. It's meant as a fund for emerging filmmakers or sophomore filmmakers, meaning if you're making 3 films, if you've directed 3 films or less, you can apply for it. It's one of our most versatile funds. So we will fund feature films as well as short films, either in development or production, or if you're looking for completion funds, any of them. So for our feature stream, we will fund up to $30,000 for a development grant. For production, it's up to $50,000, and for shorts, for development, it's up to $10,000 and up to $30,000 for production. So really flexible. The key things that we're kind of looking for is, that you kind of own your project. So we don't quite operate like the Art Council grants because it's specific to the project, and eventually you would have to incorporate and show that you own it. But the important thing for us is that you, as the author of the project, own the primary copyright of this work. So that's something that we really encourage you to do. And this is actually under the umbrella of the Canadian Storytellers Project at Hot Docs, where it's tied with a program called Documentary Accelerator, where not only do we fund your project, but we help develop you and your career, and then you'd be part of the alumni at Hot Docs. And those are separate programs, but all under this one umbrella. And there's a lot of information that I'd love to get into, but now I will pass it over to Robin or Rod.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Rod, I leave it to you.
Sure. Hi. Okay, so I'm going to talk again very high level. I think there's a lot of information that's going to get thrown at all of you today. So the best approach, I think, is to really talk as broadly as possible to give all of you at least the broad strokes and the foundation. And I think once you get more comfortable, we can answer questions. And again, I'll say it ad nauseum today, please call and reach out if there are questions or issues. So while I may talk a lot today, the key messages I want to impart to all of you today is do your homework. One, these funds are competitive and the demand is always going to exceed the supply. So do your homework, it's competitive. Make sure that it's impossible for us to say no. Secondly, as part of doing your homework, please read the guidelines. I know they can be very hairy and opaque and it's challenging, but those are the rules of engagement. We have to be as transparent as possible when we give out these funds. So you have to know every rule and deadline that's applicable for your project. Three, and this is specific to the CMF, there are many boxes that need to be checked, but the biggest gatekeeping function at the CMF is something called the broadcaster trigger. So this is basically, you need a commitment from an eligible Canadian broadcaster to effectively unlock the CMF's funds. So those are the three. If you take nothing else away today, those are the three things that you should be writing down right now. So who is the CMF? We are a big pile of money that we get from the public side and the private side. So we get money from the government of Canada and the distributors of cable and satellite and IPTV. We support 4 genres: kids, drama, variety and performing arts, and doc. So you can apply to any of our programs as a documentary project. We do have one program specifically that if you want to note down, it's called the English POV program. And that's specifically for a certain type of documentary production. The deadline has now passed. But again, if you're an emerging doc producer, that's something that you want to take note of now. The English POV program. Eligibility, as I said, the guidelines are your best friend. There are many rules, many boxes that have to get checked, but you need to be a for-profit company. You can't be, John or Jane Doe as an individual. I mentioned off the top the eligible license fee. So it must be of a certain threshold, a certain tier. You can't just get $1 from a broadcaster and unlock $1 million of CMF money. The type of money there, we can go down a rabbit hole and perhaps, we can handle this when the question period starts, but we give money as a form of a license fee top up at times and equity at times. Both of them have very different rules in terms of how the government treats them with regards to tax credit grind. I'm trying to think. In English POV, there are 2 exceptions that we grant. So oftentimes you have to have a license fee threshold from a Canadian broadcaster. We do allow an exception in our POV program to have for a conventional broadcaster that is international, but this does not include a Netflix or a Hulu or an Amazon. It's only for, let's call them bricks and mortar, conventional, old school broadcasters. We are trying to change that, and we can probably talk about that a little bit more. The other exception is in the POV program only. You do not have to have your full financing at application. You can come in with a broadcaster. I think this year, the date that we picked is January 8th, 2021. So you can come in a bit later. Financing, we can get into a bit more. It is a patchwork quilt of financing. Oftentimes producer have to cobble it together from a variety of sources we can talk about. In terms of best practices on applications, again, do your homework, be prepared, call and ask questions. The CMF has something called a pre-application consultation where you can call and troubleshoot some aspects of your file with an analyst at the CMF's administrator at Telefilm. Again, we're going down the rabbit hole pretty quick, but that is the kind of 30,000-foot view on the options that the CMF has for the doc community.
Okay, Rod, thanks. So I'm going to go right into the questions. The first one relates to co-productions. Is financing an international co-production doc with another country much different? Is there anything that you should keep in mind when financing a co-pro? That's a big question.
That's a big question. I can jump in. So it is different. The CMF does allow for co-pro. It has to be with a treaty country. This is covered in our guidelines and all of our guidelines. In terms of the way the sausages get made, you have to get an initial screen from the telefilm co-production office just to say, this is in alignment, this is with a treaty country. The financing that the CMF will grant oftentimes has to be in line with the proportion of the Canadian budget. In terms of, I think you'll hear maybe today, all CMF projects have to be CAVCO 10 out of 10. We are the last group that enforces that. With regards to co-production though, the kind of wrinkle is, or the exception that's allowed would be your foreign international partner would count towards being a Canadian position. So if usually you have to have all the key spots held by Canadians, if you're in a situation where there's a co-pro, let's say with Ireland, the Irish positions will count towards your 10 out of 10 and you will be above board and that won't affect your funding. Oftentimes we're seeing this happen more and more. As money is getting scarce, I think everyone needs to be able to leverage strategic money, and we see this kind of cooperation all the time. In addition to co-productions, the CMF has international incentives, some of which cover Doc 2. So outside of just looking at treaties, try and look at our international incentives. They usually deal more with projects at the development stage, but that could also be an option too. And it's a lot more differences than that, but just to give all of you kind of, there's many differences, but that just to kind of start everyone off to have your spider sense saying, you need to approach it very differently if you're involving an international partner.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. Co-pros are very complicated to say the least. Heidi, do co-pros qualify for the CrossCurrents Fund?
I would say that co-pros in general, maybe, but we haven't seen it for the CrossCurrents Fund because really it's meant for, Canadian emerging filmmakers, especially creators, creating their work for the very first time. So it's very rare that we see it. But in theory, if you own the majority of the rights and you retain creative control, then absolutely. We do have a fund called the Hot Docs Ted Rogers Fund. And I would say that that's a fund that is, if you're looking at sort of graduating, that would be the next step because we would require a market partner on board, similar as the CMF. And in those cases, we follow similar rules as well, where we do need to see that it's an official co-pro treaty. And you would go through the steps that Rod had mentioned to go about it. I will also mention that there's a lot of things that you need to think about, as mentioned already. And we do have resources on our website for filmmakers that are emerging or maybe mid-level that's never gone through it in our publications, which I will share and will put into the resources for this.
Great. Heidi, you touched on something. So for the CrossCurrents Fund, you don't require any market support or market trigger?
That's right. So the barriers of entry are not as high in terms of requiring a market partner, which is one of the benefits of this fund. It's great because even if you do have one, that's okay. But you do need to show that you have that you are the primary copyright holder. So other than that, no market partner required.
That's very helpful. Okay. Is there, and I'm not even sure of the answer to this, is there a database or a list of funds and grants available for documentary filmmakers? Heidi, you just mentioned the Hot Docs website. Do you have a comprehensive list on your website of all the funds available for documentary?
That is something we currently don't have on our website because it keeps growing and growing. Okay. But we do have links that we frequently send out to emerging filmmakers, which is an international link that you can find. So we can share that.
And I would also just assume that the Documentary Organization of Canada also would be the best resource for funding sources, certainly Canadian funding sources for sure.
That's a great point.
Rod, Rod, do you have anything just to add on that point?
No, I would just kind of piggyback on what you said. So the CMF obviously has such a range and diversity of programs that we then don't have the bandwidth or resources to update a list that we don't oversee in terms of funds. And so I think in terms of specific resources for the Doc community in Canada, what Robin says is exactly it. And I think it's a good lesson. You know, I think all these resources are available. It does take a lot of work on behalf of the producer. There's, you know, if there was a one-stop shop, that would be ideal. But I think to knock on Doc's door in terms of being a resource for that community is the smartest way. And I think it would, you know, make sense for them to have that list of these are all the coordinating organizations and agencies that we know of to help you fund your project.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good point. Okay, Rod, this question's for you. With the popularity of podcasts since the pandemic, is there any CMF funding for podcasts currently or in the near future?
So it's a great question. So, and this can kind of turn, so the CMF in terms of, I mentioned off the top, we get money from the government of Canada. And so we have a contribution agreement that is basically the parameters of how we're allowed to give out money. And so while we love the government of Canada and we have a great relationship with them, we're constantly going back and forth and trying to push and modernize our rules as much as possible within the spirit and intent of their mandate for us. So with that said, we allow podcasts, so our two streams for funding, kind of the big two branches, are the convergent stream and the experimental stream. In the convergent stream, that is our linear television fund. But another one of the rules I mentioned is your content must be multi-platform. So a podcast as a promotional tool to market or help in discoverability of your documentary linear television project is allowed. In the experimental stream outside of Doc, a podcast is allowed if it's kind of this, again, because we're dealing with digital media and software and innovative tech. If you have a podcast that is an auditory sensory experience and not just Bill Simmons, Mark Maron, you know, a serial, you know, as you're walking to and from work, that would qualify. But in terms of a podcast as a means where we would give you money to just fund a podcast, no, we do not have that ability at this time.
Okay, thank you. Question for the CrossCurrents Fund. Do 2S LGBTQ plus qualify?
We have a stream called the CrossCurrents International Stream, and that is dedicated to filmmakers that are telling stories from within their underrepresented community, and that's self-identified. So absolutely, you can apply for that stream.
Great.
I will also mention that the deadlines have passed for this year, but check us out next year. We're going to open likely in the spring and close in the summer, just like this year.
Oh, great. Thank you. Okay, Rod, this one's for you. The broadcast trigger seems to be the most limiting or biased factor to access funding and or seeing diverse content on broadcast television. How can CMF assist diverse producers in connecting with broadcasters and having our content actually picked up?
It's a great question. And it's something that we're working on, and that's cold comfort. I totally recognize, but it's something we've been working on for a while. So I think there's two parts of that question. The broadcaster trigger and who is at the broadcaster with regards to selecting programs as a market test. That is something that's baked into our contribution agreement right now. And so there's not a lot of wiggle room there. While we've opened the door slightly in 2019, 2020, we allowed for the online services of broadcasters. So CBC's Gem or Bell's Crave, they're still connected to the same power brokers in the actual broadcaster. So that is going to remain, at least for this year, 2020, 2021. Again, there was the release of the Yale report, I believe, at the end of January this past year. So a lot of movement is afoot with regards to the Broadcasting Act and legislation. I believe the minister spoke today at the virtual BAMF series about that legislation is being planned to be tabled for the fall, which I think means October. So all that being said, change may be coming. It looks like for the first time in years that there could be some flexibility there. So the broadcaster trigger, which has been our market test for a long time, I think there is an acceptance that that has to evolve beyond the current market test. With regards to diversity, this is something that we're planning on holding a consultation in the coming weeks with certain members of the production community in terms of what we've introduced to date. Last year, the CMF introduced its sector development program as a means to help organizations conduct training. You know, again, the contribution agreement only allows us to fund projects, not give out money for training. So this was a big give on the part of the government of Canada. So this is with regards to helping underserved areas improve access to training on cameras, to directors' apprenticeships, making sure that the representation of women on sets is improved. With regards to our programs outside of sector dev, I know that we've had a gender initiative for the past 3 years where broadcasters had to increase the number of women in key positions. We're continuing with that initiative. And then most recently, something that we realize is just a start, but in our early stage development program, excuse me, there's now a diversity of voices earmarked carve out, which means Indigenous writers and visible minority writers are guaranteed a certain portion of that fund. The goal is this: we need to change who's in the pipeline now. We need to make sure that writers' rooms are filled with people that don't necessarily look like me. And so by doing this at the development and writing stage, we want to give more opportunities to people at the start of that process. You know, the CMF talks about diversity, and I think we have to also separate and put aside that it's a good thing to do, or as leaders, we should usher everyone that's been kept out in. I think we also have to think about it from an industrial point of view. And if Canada is going to compete on the world stage, we've been fighting with one hand tied behind our back, and there are more stories and there are more storytellers that could actually help our industry and grow Canada as a television and beyond brand. So it's something that, again, we think is imperative just out of leaders in the industry, but I think there's an industrial argument that has to be made too, where we have to turn over more stones to be as competitive as possible.
Great, thank you. Next question. This is, I guess, for both of you. What's the biggest mistake that emerging producers can make in their financing their projects?
I'll start. No, so the biggest, there are many, and it usually stems from, I think sometimes the rules can be overwhelming for someone who is starting, and they just want the gist, or they just want the shortcut to getting money, and it's tedious, and there's a lot to read, and there's a lot of forms to fill out. So I would just say the mistake is not doing your homework and not reading all the guidelines and having your application in order. If this is competitive, people to your left and people to your right will do the work. So you have to do the work. And if you don't understand anything, please ask questions. Call us and say, I got tripped up on line 85, or I got tripped up on form, B. So just, I think, read and ask questions is such simple advice, but you'd be shocked at how many times we receive things where, the chain of title is not in order because they didn't realize they had to do that, or there's just something that's deficient in their application. That would be my best tip.
Yeah, I would agree. Just with the Rogers Group of Funds, that's the biggest problem, is people just don't read thoroughly enough, and they end up with applications that, quite frankly, don't qualify. Heidi, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, it would be very similar. It would be very similar advice and feedback. A lot of, for the CrossCurrents Fund specifically, is where we see the most emerging filmmakers filling out the application. In this case, a lot of the filmmakers filling it out are the directors and producers. So I would say, you know, get someone to have another look at it, because certainly we use the IDA core application, which is an application that a lot of funders internationally use. So we see a lot of copy and pasting. And that could be okay sometimes, but you really have to look at what the fund is actually looking for, as both Robin and Rod mentioned. And I would say the key thing for us, because, you know, you're emerging and part of the learning is that we can also help with, but really just focus on your story and you know, how to tell that well, because at this point, we don't expect you to have all the money or any money for our particular fund. And we're here to help, you know, help you strategize, especially if you're accepted into the fund. But certainly please have a look at the questions ahead of time. We post ours ahead of time so that you can work on it. That would be my best tip, and have someone to look at it.
Great, thanks, Heidi. Next question, what financial range would constitute an eligible license fee? That's for Rod. And that's complicated.
That's complicated. So again, like, we're all going to read the guidelines and we're going to find out, but it depends on the language market in doc. So let me just, I have some cheat sheets because there are many programs at the CMF. But in terms of eligibility in our performance envelope program, you know, the LFT, it varies, but in feature docs, it's 10% of your eligible costs. In the POV fund that I mentioned, it's 15% of your eligible cost, which is your accepted budget. And it's 10% for feature length over 750K, I believe. So yeah, I would, again, check your guidelines because it can really get tricky and you want to make sure that you get that minimum. And again, once you get that minimum, your options start to really multiply. And I think, again, it's a collaboration with your broadcaster. And I think, you know, just as, you know, this is not what the actual question was, but I would say this is a good point just to realize it's such a collaboration between your broadcaster and you, the producer, that obviously if they've triggered in the CMF, they're going to know what they're comfortable with too. So I would just say, use the CMF and use the things that we're asking for to really think of the collaborative process between you and the market test, because they obviously are interested in you and your project if they're taking this meeting and they're willing to commit a certain threshold of their funds. But I think it really kind of changes the dynamic if you go into it thinking it's less what I need to extract from the broadcaster. It's more about how do I complete my financing picture? How do they factor in? What other funds or tax credits or financing are in play? And so really kind of rethink your relationship with the market trigger.
Great, thank you. So this next question is for you, Heidi. Are women considered underrepresented for the CrossCurrents fund?
I would say for the CrossCurrents Canada Fund, it's not within the priority groups that are identified. However, as I mentioned, the CrossCurrents International Fund, it's self-identified in how you are directly from within an underrepresented community, and you get to tell us why. And I mean, we get to learn why you feel that is the case. So there's a section that you fill in the application, but we don't say yes or no. You tell us why.
Great, thank you. So I think that's all the time we have for questions. What does it say here? So thank you both, Rod and Heidi, for joining us today. It's extremely helpful. We hope you, as our audience, found this session useful and that you will be able to join us for another one-stop business workshop session. Sessions continue each afternoon at 2 p.m. until July 3rd. Questions asked during, no, we're good. I'm reading from a script. It's not working. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. And everybody take care. Thank you.